Hey everybody, I've got a fun little project today. We're going to be making some really cool flat books that go into sort of like a billfold, I guess you would call it. And it's an expandable billfold and it'll have a whole bunch of books in there. And I'm using the flat book printables that you can get on my site. The link to the printables is down there somewhere in the description. So what you're going to get is you're going to get one large peony pattern in this really pretty minty blue color. That I designed, and then you're gonna get several patterns, actually the same pattern but in different colors, and then you'll get smaller ones that are meant for like your inside pages. So there's an olive one that's in 2 shades of olive, and then there's peach. I'm really loving peach right now. The video doesn't look too colorful, but these are pretty colorful and they're really pretty. They're very pastel. And then there's pink. So you'll get those, and then you're going to get your flap liner templates. So this template here is your liner template. And what I mean by a liner is all of these little pieces will fit in here. So for instance, this is the template for an inside piece here to where this distressed edge will still show. So it's a little bit smaller than this piece. And then this piece here is the liner for this piece that you'll have about a little less than 1/4 of an inch border. And then these are the flap books. So this right here, this is the expandable sides. So you'd cut this out and score along those lines and then do an accordion fold, kind of like how we did last week's project. If you haven't seen that, there's the tag box project that we did last week and we used this same kind of design, but this is a different size. So these are the individual flat book covers. This is what they look like. So you'll have, you'll notice that there's a different design on each. So you'll cut these out and then you'll score along this line here and then this line here on all of them. So you'll see they all have a different styled edge, or styled flap, I should say. This one's got that ticket flap, an ornate sort of flap, and I think I printed 8 of these, but there's 5 different designs, so you can use as many as you want. So see, now they're starting to repeat. So go ahead and cut those out. I'm going to cut mine out, and then after I cut these out, I'm going to pick out some patterned papers from either the printable from the kit, or you can use scrapbook paper of your own. I'm thinking I might use the brand new Motley paper line that just released at CHA, but I'm not sure yet. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut out, these are my templates, I'm going to cut these out, and then I'm going to cut out these pieces in pattern paper. And you're going to cut out 2 of these per cover. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, I've got all my pieces cut out, including all of my flap covers. So you can see I've cut them all out, and a really easy way to cut these out is what I do is I cut out all the straight edges on the paper trimmer, and then I just cut the ornate edges with my scissors. So super easy. And then I went ahead and did my accordion sides. I scored and then I folded into an accordion. And then now I'm going to show you how you're going to use these templates here. I went ahead and cut those out too. And how these work is, the reason why I provide these templates is because I want you to have an easy way to make your liners perfectly fit your covers, because every printer prints differently, and so they may print in different sizes. So I wanted to make sure that they were going to be accurate no matter who printed them. So you'll see that this piece is made so that you can cut out pattern paper for a little liner in there. Well, sort of, it's not really a liner, but you get what I'm saying. So see how it leaves a little bit of that distressed edge? And then the little flap pieces also do the same thing. They leave a little less than 1/4 of an inch border on there. And I just think it looks really nice and finished and pretty. So what you'll do is you'll take those, you'll pick out some pattern paper, or you'll use the patterns that come in the kit. I'm going to use our brand new Motley line that we released this winter CHA. So what you would do is you'd pick a part of the paper that you want to cut out for your liner piece, and then you would just trace these, or I just hold them and cut them with some scissors. Or you can measure the square piece and just cut those out. But I'm going to show you this paper line really quick. This is our brand new Motley paper line. And this one's called Darling. This one is called Anthology. It's got a bunch of fun stuff on the back. So you guys know how much I love roses and vintage stuff. Here's a grungy gray piece called Collage. And on the back, or actually this is Scarlet, sorry. Back it's got red and pink roses. This one is Carmi. I named this one after my mom because my mom's name's Carmi and she loves red, so you can kind of see some red roses. This one is Not Too Shabby. So really fun, bright colors. This one is Darling. It's one of my favorite ones. I love the orange on the back. This one's Off the Wall. And that is the whole Motley line. So I'm going to be using this instead of the paper that comes in the kit that you print out. And I think this is going to be my main cover, so I'm going to set that one aside. And then I'm going to go ahead and trace all of these pieces and put them on my envelopes and distress my edges with some ink, and I'll be right back. Okay, now I've got all my little envelopes or covers made up. This is what they look like when you finally line them with that paper, your pan paper. So I'll show you all of the ones I did. And ultimately I can make a lot more than this. I just made 7 this time around because the accordion fold that we're doing, the side pieces will fit 7 pockets. But if you want more than 7 pockets, just like I told you guys last week, you could print out 4 of these and just glue them together like that to make your sides even bigger. So here are all my cute little covers. And I'm going to show you something really cool that you could do with those later, but right now I want to start making the outside piece that's going to hold all of these. Okay, so, oops. You're going to need some plain manila cardstock. You can use pattern cardstock if you want to. I'm just going to use plain manila because I like how strong it is. And I'm going to make the dividers for my accordion pieces here. And I think we're going to need to make 7. Yeah, I'd say make 7 at least. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure how wide my little covers are here, and they're about 6 inches. So I know that I want my dividers to be about 6.5 inches wide. And then I'm going to measure how tall this piece is, and it looks like it's about 3 3/4. So I know I don't want it to be bigger than that, but I do want it to be about the same size. So I'm going to make it 3 3/4 by 6.5. So 3 3/4 by 6.5, and I'm going to cut out about 7 of those. All right, so 6.5 by 3 3/4. So I'm cutting 2 pieces at a time here, you can see. And then I've got 2 more scraps, so I should be able to get 6 out of 1 piece of paper. 6.5 by 3 3/4. And then I'm just going to cut 1 more for an extra in case there's 7 dividers that I need in there. And I'm just going to do 1 more just for the heck of it. All right, so I've got my dividers here. I'll put this stuff aside. And I'm going to go ahead and ink my edges. I mix antique linen and walnut stain ink daubers, and I kind of just put them next to each other, and I do this sort of thing. And these are the 2 that I always mix with each other because I think this one's too dark and that one's too light, so I kind of do my own thing. And this came off a little dark, but it'll lighten up. And you don't need to do all the sides, you just need to do the tops. So I'm not sure why I just did that, because the tops are the only part that are going to show. And I'm not trying to be perfect about it here. I'm just kind of doing it really quick. So it's okay if it's a little sloppy because it's going to be grungy anyway, right? All my stuff is somewhat distressed. All right. Okay, so the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna glue them into your accordion pieces here. I'm gonna get some Scotch Quick Dry. I always use a wet glue for this because if you use a dry adhesive when you're putting things in and out of the pockets, they tend to stick to that dry adhesive if there's any showing. So what you're gonna do is the same thing we did last week on last week's tag box project. You're gonna skip the first mountain on both sides and you're gonna glue onto this side here. Okay, so I'm gonna put a glue line on that side. Nice and thin glue line, or glue squiggle, I should say. And then I'm just going to stick my divider right on top of that. I'm making sure that the top is nice and flush. Okay, and that should tack pretty quickly, so then you could start the next one. Just don't go too heavy on the glue. You don't need it to be really heavy because you don't want it to seep out. And you're going to do the same thing, and you're going to continue doing that until you've got this whole side done. Okay, now I've got this whole side done, and I ended up only needing 7 dividers. So now I'm going to take this side and I'm going to glue it onto this side. Now remember, you want to skip that first mountain on this side now, just like you did on this side. So this side needs to mirror this side. So I'm going to put my glue line right on that mound. And then I'm going to do the same thing for each divider. So I'm going to move on to the next one. And stick the next one on there. So really easy, just like the tag envelope box that we did last week. And the Scotch glue is amazing because it just tacks right away. So you can get things done really fast. And it dries clear, which is awesome, and it's not dimensional, so it flattens out once it dries. My favorite glue. I know I say that every time, don't I? Alright, and last, or just a few more, sorry. I thought I was on my last one, but I'm not. All right, now I'm on the last one. Ava, my dog, is rolling around like crazy on the floor right now. What are you doing? Silly. All right, so this is the last one. All right, so now you'll see that you've kind of got this rainbow effect going on. So to fix that, all you're going to do is you're going to smash this whole thing down, and what this is going to do is it's sort of going to break in this whole piece and kind of line it up and make it nice and even. So just smash down, and now you should have something that looks like this. So it kind of straightens straightens everything out. And then now we're going to work on the cover. So our cover is going to be a little bit tricky. I'm thinking I want this to be the outside of my box, and then maybe this this one to be my liner, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I am going to do this one on the outside. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to measure how big this piece is with your envelope, with your, sorry, not envelopes, but your little cover books inside. So I'm going to go ahead and stick all mine in the pockets. Get all these babies in there. And then remember, one of the last pockets is going to be as part of the box. So just account for that last pocket to be either in the back or the front. I think you'll end up with actually two extra small pockets. So so you could do another envelope. I'll probably actually do another one just to fill in that last pocket. So I'm going to smash it all together. And I'm going to measure this how it is now, how is it's expanded. I'm not going to smash it in. I want to make sure that it's fitted into the cover really nice. So go ahead and measure that. And it's about 3 inches. Okay, so I know that the spine of my cover is going to be 3 inches. And then I'm going to add 4 inches. And then another 4 inches for the back. So it's probably going to be, I know I'm going to need two 4-inch pieces, and that should take care of the bottom piece and then the front cover, and then the back piece is going to be a whole nother piece. Okay, so the thickness of my stack here was 3 inches, but for that bottom piece, I need to have a little bit of a lip so I can glue on the back piece and the front piece. So I'm going to add a whole 2 inches to that because I kind of want it to be rounded on the bottom as well. So we're going to do, yeah, 2 inches, so 3, 4, 5 inches. So I'm going to cut out a 5-inch strip here. Get all my stuff out of the way for you. Got my big old paper trimmer. Love this thing. It's so beat up though. Alright, so 5-inch strip here. And this thing is 6 inches wide. Oh, where did my ruler go? I'm just going to double check to make sure. Oh, 6.5 inches. Good thing I checked. Okay, so this is 6.5 inches wide. I'm going to make my strip 7.5 inches wide. And I'll show you why in a minute. Alright, so that's 7.5 inches wide. And I'm going to go ahead and make a score here where I'm going to attach this. And I'm going to do it at 1/2 inch. Actually, no, I'm going to do a whole, no, I'm going to do 1/2 inch. So I'm scoring 1/2 inch on this side and then 1/2 inch on this side. So I'm scoring at 4.5 inches on each side. So something like this, and I'm just going to fold those so that I know where they are. Okay, so this piece was 5 inches by 7.5 inches, so I know that my next strip needs to be 7.5 inches as well. So I'm going to go ahead and take this paper here and trim off that barcode. I know this is going to be 7.5 inches, so I don't want the distressed edge to kind of mess with my piece, so I'm cutting it off. And I'm going 7.5 inches, just like that bottom piece, 7.5 inches wide. Okay, and then I know my front is going to be 4 inches. That's going to be a separate piece. My back is going to be 4 inches. Now I just need to decide, because I'm going to make a flap with this, so I need to decide where I want my flap to end. So if I fold this over, I want the flap to go about halfway through, so I'm just going to hold my finger there, and I'm going to measure this out so you guys know what to do. And that ends up being 8.5 inches. Okay, so it's gonna be 8.5 inches long. 8.5. Actually, I'm gonna do this side. All right, so that's 8.5 inches. Okay, so I'm gonna set that aside with my bottom piece. And then the front piece, what did I say it was, 4 inches? Oh, 3 3/4 inches. Okay, so I'm gonna do 3 3/4 inches by 7.5. Okay, let's see, maybe this piece is the right size. No, it's not. Okay, so 3 3/4 by 7.5. Okay, so I think those are all the pieces I need for this. Yep, okay. All right, now we're gonna glue all these pieces together. So I know this is going on the front, I know this is going on the bottom, and I know this is going along the back. Now I want this bottom piece to be kind of like, not necessarily not really an accordion fold, but I want it to be flexible and not stiff. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make a bunch of score lines about 1/4 inch apart, all in this middle section, not on the part that I folded over, okay? And you don't have to be perfect about these score lines. Like, I'm not even measuring, I'm kind of just sliding it down a little bit. And what this is gonna do is it's kind of gonna give you that flexibility that you would find on a regular billfold, like those plastic billfolds with the pockets in there. That's kind of what we're making. Only we're gonna put mini books inside. So all those covers we did are gonna end up being mini books. So like I said, I'm going about every 1/4 inch and I'm just scoring. And we're not gonna enforce these scores. So we're just gonna leave it like this and let the cover do its job. I'm gonna flip it over here. You just want to make sure that you're making nice straight score lines. And I think that's what I'm all, okay. So now, when you do that bottom piece, these little folds, well, I don't know if you can really see it too well, but there's all those little folds, so, because you want that bottom piece to sort of round over. All right, so once you've done that, now you can glue your front piece on. So I'm gonna use the quick dry again, and I'm actually gonna do it on this 1/2 inch piece here in the front of my bottom piece. Hopefully this isn't too confusing for you guys. There's a lot of little steps, but I'm sure if you watch these last few steps more than once, you'll be able to get it if you haven't gotten it already. I think we've done harder things, right? Okay, so that is the front piece there. Oh, and you know what? Sorry, don't put that glue on the inside. Put it on the outside because you want this to look seamless. Luckily mine came right off. No problem. This stuff usually tacks pretty quickly. So put it on the outside piece there. Sorry about that. I may have to put some ribbon on here to cover up those original glue marks. They kind of tore the paper a little bit. Or I could just distress it, that's okay. All right, so you'll have something like this. And then you're gonna go ahead and put the back piece on, and you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna put the glue on the outside. This piece is gonna go right there. I'm gonna flatten it out so I can press down nicely. All right, and you could change this color to this pattern, this bottom piece to a different color if you don't want it to be all one color. Okay, so now you'll see that your pocket pieces are, your outside cover is about 1/2 inch bigger than your pocket pieces. That's what you want. So now what we need to do is we need to make a liner for this because we want this to be a little thicker. I'm gonna use this paper here for my liner. And you don't need to line this bottom piece, you just need to line the back cover. So I know that I've got an extra 1/2 inch on each side, and that's going to be the 1/2 inch that I end up folding over before I put the liner on. So this piece was, let me just confirm the measurement again. I always kind of do this because I'm kind of doing this on the fly. Is 7.5 inches. So I want to take a full inch off that. So I'm going to cut my liner to about 6.5. Actually, I'm going to do 6 3/4. I'm going to cut this barcode off first. So 6 3/4 on that liner piece. Six 3/4, and then this back piece was 8 inches. Remember, I'm just gonna. I always double check before I do something. See, and I was wrong. It was 8.5 inches. So this piece is gonna be 8.5 inches tall because that's the liner for the top part. And then this piece. Let's see if this will fit in there pretty good. This was. Why can I not see very well here? It was 3 3/4, so we're gonna go 3 1/4 inches tall on this piece. All right, so there's our liner pieces. Now what you're gonna do, so this piece is gonna go right up here. Okay, and actually I need to cut off a 1/2 inch off the top, I forgot. My goodness. Okay, so 1/2 inch off of there. And you'll see why I'm doing this in a second. So that piece is gonna go there. This piece is gonna go here. So now we are going to score this. So I'm gonna slide this right down into the crease here. You see how I'm doing this? And I'm gonna use this piece to make my score marks because this is where I'm gonna fold the paper. So I'm making a score line there. Score line here. A score line right there. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on this bottom piece. I'm actually going to use, since this piece is bigger, I'm gonna line it up with those score lines so I know that I'm doing this nice and straight. And I'm kind of gonna make some little scores as a guide. And you're gonna score through that bottom piece as well. So this middle piece that has all those little tiny scores that we did earlier, you're gonna score through that too. Just sliding it down. Score there. And then I'm going to put this piece back up here. I'm going to bump it all the way to the bottom. I'm going to make my score across the top. Now where those score marks intersect in the corners, you're going to miter those corners. So you're going to go just like this. And you're not going to go all the way to the corner. You're going to leave a little bit of a gap. You're going to do the same thing down here. All right, and then now we're gonna fold all those over and glue them down right on those score marks. So I'm gonna start up here. I'm gonna start folding all the way across. I don't wanna fold one piece down right away. I wanna make sure I'm working that score first. All right. Oops. All right, so then I'm gonna open it back up. I'm gonna put some glue all along that edge that I'm gonna end up gluing down. And then I'm gonna glue it down. So I just slide my fingers across until it tacks down with the glue. It usually tacks pretty quickly. There's some spots here I didn't get enough, it looks like. or actually it's kind of where my paper split a little bit. All right, and I need a little bit more glue right in here. All right, so we're gonna do that to all 4 sides. Okay, my work surface is getting a little messy here. So now you should have a piece that looks like this with all the corners folded in, all the sides folded in, and now you're ready to glue your liners in. So the liners are gonna go in just like this. So this is the first one. Oh, you know what? I forgot to take into account that big side. So I have to take these down by 1/2 inch on 2 sides, on the width and the length. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that really quick. This is my first time making this project, and I'm making it on the fly right now, which is, I know, crazy. So you're gonna take a 1/2 inch off of each side, of 2 sides, sorry. Your long side, so 2 3/4 is where my measurement's at, and then 6 1/4 on this piece. So I took a 1/2 inch off this side, a 1/2 inch off that side, and I'm gonna do the same thing with this piece here. So that's gonna be 6 1/4. And then this piece is going to be 7 1/2. I'm making my cut at 7 1/2. All right, now we're ready. Sorry about that, guys. So now this piece is gonna get glued down right up here. And you're gonna center it on your piece so that about 1/4 inch of that blue trim is showing. I'm gonna use a Fabri-Tac for this. Come on now. I'm going pretty close to the edge. And then get all along the middle, pretty close, making sure my beads of glue are close together. All right, and then, so I'm gonna center it on here, about 1/4 inch, showing on each side, just like this. And then we're gonna do the same thing on the bottom. We're gonna skip that bottom middle piece because that's the piece that we want to be flexible. The reason why we want that bottom piece to be flexible and we want it to be a little bit bigger than our stack is so that we can add things to our little mini books, and this will be able to expand with the size of the books on the inside. All right, and this piece gets glued right here, once again, 1/4 inch border. And I guess you could do a liner piece in there, but you'd have to score it all over again, but you know, this piece does not really show. Okay, so now we're ready to glue our guts in, but before I do that, I'm going to make sure I make a score line where my paper is gonna fold over. So I'm gonna line it up with this bottom fold, so see where this bottom fold is? I'm gonna line up my guts, basically, with that. And then I'm just gonna make a score, just so I know where I'm gonna start my fold on the top. So I know my top is gonna fold right about there. Okay, so I'm gonna reinforce it a little bit. I'm gonna fold over that top. All right. And then now we're going to take our pieces here and let's go ahead and take our little covers out so we don't accidentally glue them down in somewhere. Just like that. And this is the top, so I want to make sure that's on the top. Let me get rid of this big glob of glue I've got. All right, so I'm putting a little bit of glue. I should have used the Scotch glue for this, but it's all good. My mind was distracted for a minute there. All right, so this piece is gonna get glued right here. So I'm gonna make sure I've got that bottom fold up. And then I'm gonna glue it down to my cover. All right, so when I glue it down, I kind of slide it around a little bit until I get it right where I want it, and then I'm gonna hold it down for a few seconds. Because I'm using Fabri-Tac, I have to hold it down a little bit longer than I would with the Scotch Quick Dry. All right, so that, see, it's still needs to be held down a little bit. So I'm gonna hold that down for a little bit and then I'll be right back. All right, so I've got my piece in there. You can see how it's gonna go. And then now I'm going to put some glue right here on the top piece. And this is where it's gonna get a little bit tricky, so you gotta be a little careful on this part. So now this top edge of this is going to, you're gonna have to do a little bit of working on those little scores that we did on the bottom. And the top edge is going to glue down to your pockets, just like this. Hold that down. So we're gonna hold this down, let it glue for a bit until it finally sticks. You can kind of see all my little score lines on there now. All right, so that's what it looks like so far. Now you'll see you've got this big, huge, lumpy thing here. Don't worry, because once you put all your books in there and we do the pages inside the books, this is gonna be completely full and it's gonna expand, and that's not gonna look like that anymore. Okay, but essentially this is what your little billfold is gonna end up looking like, but never mind that because it's gonna be so much fatter. So we're gonna go ahead and let this dry. And what we're gonna do in the meantime is we're gonna make some insert pages to go in here. So you need to cut out as many pieces of plain paper you want, or pattern paper. I'm gonna use some thin white plain paper. And we want them to be 7 inches wide. And then you're gonna fold that in half. So 7 inches wide by 5 3/4. So 7 inches wide, 5 3/4. You're gonna make pages that are gonna go inside these mini books for all of your little books here. So I'm gonna do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so once you've cut out all of your pieces of regular paper, you're gonna fold them in half just like this. And I actually ended up doing 5 1/2 inches tall, because that way I got more paper out of an 8 1/2 by 11 sheet. So you can do that same thing if you want to. So the next thing you want to do is you're going to stick it into your book. It's going to end up going in there just like this. But we first want to make some holes to bind this in there. And you could staple it in there if you want to, but staples aren't as pretty. So I'm going to take 2 of my covers and I'm going to put them right inside of each other. This is my trick for making sure my holes are in the same spot. I'm going to take my crocodile and I'm going to use the small hole punch. And I'm just going to go all the way in and I'm going to punch that hole right onto the crease. Okay. And then now, so you can do 2 at a time. I'm going to do the same thing for the rest of mine here. Actually, I think I can get away with doing 3 if I hold it really close together. Actually, let's try 4. The crocodile can chomp through just about anything, so hopefully I don't mess this up. And it looks like it's going to work. Yeah, cool. Alright, so I'm pushing my crocodile all the way in, so I know it's the same depth each time. And then now I'm going to take some baker's twine. I'm just getting it ready. So now you're going to take your paper guts and you're going to stick them right on in there. And you're going to kind of line them up. Make sure you've got about the same amount of room on each side here. And then you're going to use those holes as your guide to punch your paper. So I'm flipping it over so I can see where the hole is. And that's my guide for punching the holes in my paper now. So I'm going to carefully flip it over. do the same thing. Just like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece, and I'm just going to take one piece out because I'm going to use that as my template to punch the rest of the holes in my other ones. And I'm going to show you how to put the paper in there now. Oops. So I'm going to thread through the top of my cover here. I'm going to go in there. And then I'm going to go into the stack of paper. Just like that. And then I'm going to go through the bottom hole in my stack of paper. Oh, one of my strings is coming apart. And then out the bottom hole on the cover. Okay, so super, super easy. And then you're going to pull it tight and you're going to tie a cute little bow on the outside. So I'm pulling it nice and tight, and I'm tying a bow on the outside. And like I said, if you want, you don't have to use the twine for this. You can use your stapler and just staple the book in there. But I like the way that the twine looks. Alright, so just like that, and I'm actually probably going to end up doing some twisty closures on here like we did in the tag box, but you're going to do that same thing for the rest of your books. So there's what it looks like, and when you open it up, you've got a nice little notebook inside. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that on the rest of my books, and I'm going to do my little tag closures, and then I'll show you the finished product. Alrighty, here's my finished box, and I didn't do anything too crazy with it because I'm really tired and I've kind of been working all day, but I don't know, I may do a more detailed one later, but I'm going to use this as a recipe box. So all those little books in there are going to represent like a dessert book, a meat book, entrees, breakfast, lunch, all that stuff. So here's what the front looks like. I just did the little swivel closure that I always do, or a twisty closure. I don't even know what they would be called. But here's a little side view for you to see. And when you open it up, it looks like this, and it's expandable, so you can open it up nice and wide. It's nice and sturdy, so see I'm pulling quite hard and I'm getting them opened all the way. And then when you pull your little booklets out, so I did one that was kind of one of the orange papers from the Motley line with roses on it. And when you open it up, you've got your little book inside. So I thought it would be kind of cool to, because I love coming up with my own recipes for things, so I thought it would be cool to add a little picture of the whatever you made, the meal, and then the recipe on the back side, and then the instructions on one side. So that's kind of the idea for now, but of course there's 7, or did I make 7 books? There's enough room to make 7 books in this box the way that we built it in this video. So there's actually there's 8 pockets, so you could fit 8 books in there, but 7 would be good. So if you did like a weekly type planner thing, that would be a really cool idea. So that's pretty much it. I just added those little swivel closures to all my little booklets, and they're really fun, and these are really cool because you can kind of take these, keep one in your purse, and if someone gives you a cool recipe, or you're at a restaurant and you ask for a recipe to something, you can jot it down really quick. So I don't know, I thought it was a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to put all my little recipes on there, and if you're going to keep this in your kitchen and you don't want it to get ruined, you can coat the entire thing, like the outside and this inside liner, with Mod Podge or matte medium, and that'll help make it a little bit more waterproof, just in case you splash a little something on it. But it was a lot of fun to make. I hope you guys try it out, and don't forget to share it with me. You can share it with me on Facebook or Twitter. I'm Marion Smith Art on Twitter, and Marion Smith Designs on Instagram. I'm an Instagram fanatic. I love sharing stuff on there. I share more stuff on my Instagram than I do anywhere else, I think. So come find me, and I'll follow you back on Twitter and Instagram, and I hope you like the project. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.